So, when you picture the perfect English countryside, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's probably the Cotswolds. I mean, it's a landscape that feels almost impossibly idyllic, like it was literally plucked straight out of a storybook.
You know exactly the scene I'm talking about, right? Rolling green hills, these little villages built from gorgeous honey-colored stone, and just this feeling of a gentle, unchanging peace. It feels like a place that exists completely outside of time.
But here's the thing, is it really timeless? Or is that just a beautiful illusion? Well, you've probably guessed it. That image of timelessness is actually hiding a really fascinating story. The Cotswolds we see today is a landscape built in layers. And in this explainer, we're going to peel them back one by one. And our story starts deep, deep in the past. I mean, literally with the ground itself. About 200 million years ago, this whole area was a warm, shallow sea. And all that ancient marine life gave us this unique oolitic limestone. This golden stone, well, it's the literal and figurative foundation of everything that makes the Cotswolds, well, the Cotswolds. Okay, so for our first layer of human history, we have to rewind the clock almost 2,000 years. We're going back to a time when this quiet corner of England was actually a major strategic hub for the Roman Empire. And check this out. This shows you just how deep that influence runs. On the left, you see the Fosseway, a massive Roman road that sliced right across Britain. And on the right, that's a modern road that still follows its unbelievably straight line. I mean, the Romans literally drew the map that parts of the region still follow to this day. And right at the heart of this road network, a city exploded into life. Corinium. Now, don't let the sleepy market towns of today fool you. This place was an absolute powerhouse. We're talking about the second most important urban center in all of Roman Britain. Only London was bigger. Just look at this contrast. On the left, that's a reconstruction of Roman Corinium, with its huge forum, a massive basilica, an amphitheater, the works. And on the right, that's the modern town of Cirencester. That whole ancient capital is still there, just hiding right underneath their feet. But it wasn't just about roads and cities for the military. Oh no. The Romano-British elite who lived out here in the countryside, they created a life of incredible comfort and sophistication. Now, this might not look like much at first glance, but what you're actually looking at is an 1,800-year-old central heating system. This is from Chedworth Roman Villa. Think about that. The Romans were living a life of comfort and luxury here that would not be seen again in Britain for more than 1,000 years. And it wasn't just about practical comforts. These villas were basically palaces, and they were decorated with these stunningly intricate mosaics like this one here. This was no remote backwater. It was a prosperous, cultivated, and thoroughly Romanized landscape. Okay, so let's jump forward to our next huge layer. After the Romans left, the Cotswolds entered a totally new era, one that would really define the look and feel of the place forever. And it was an era built, believe it or not, on the back of a sheep. You know, there's this old medieval saying, and it is absolutely no exaggeration. Cotswold wool was considered the best in Europe. It was the golden fleece of England, and it created just staggering fortunes, turning this entire region into one of the wealthiest in the whole country. So, what did all these newly rich wool merchants do with their mountains of cash? Well, they built. They poured money into constructing these magnificent parish churches, so grand they're often called wool churches. This one here is in Burford. It's less a simple house of worship and more like a cathedral of commerce, a massive public display of their incredible success. And here's another stunner in Chipping Camden. The sheer scale of these buildings tells you everything you need to know about the incredible economic power of the medieval wool trade. And the scale of this whole operation, it was just immense. In market towns like Stow-on-the-Wold, the huge market square would be completely jam-packed with sheep. Records show that over 20,000 animals could be traded there in a single day. This was truly global commerce on a massive scale. You know, the industry shaped the entire landscape. Even one of the most famous and photographed streets in all of England, Orlington Row, it wasn't built to be quaint. It actually started its life in the 14th century as a monastic wool store. It was only later converted into cottages for weavers. Its entire design was dictated by the wool trade. So we've seen the Roman foundation, we've seen the medieval wool boom, but that brings us to the biggest question of all. Why does it all still look like this? And the answer, well, it's a fascinating paradox. Here's the simple fact. The Cotswolds' golden age ended. When the Industrial Revolution came roaring to life, textile production shifted to the big, new coal-powered mills up in the north of England. And the Cotswolds' economy, which was based on handmade cloth and little watermills, just couldn't compete. And that economic decline was its salvation. It's ironic, isn't it? Because there was no money for huge new development, the factories and canals and sprawling Victorian suburbs that completely transformed other parts of Britain, they just never arrived here. The region was essentially frozen in time, its medieval heart perfectly preserved by a fortunate lack of progress. So when we look at a picture of the Cotswolds today, we're not just seeing a pretty view. What we're actually seeing is a rich historical document if you just know how to read it. And it's all there, right in front of us. You've got the golden stone laid down in ancient Jurassic seas. You have the blueprint, those dead straight roads and settlements from the Romans. Then came the construction, all those magnificent buildings funded by the medieval wool boom. And finally, the preservation, which came from being left behind by the modern world. All four of those layers had to come together to create the unique, incredible landscape we see today.
And this just makes you wonder, doesn't it? The story of the Cotswolds is written right into its stones, its roads, and its churches. It makes you think about the places we all see every single day. And it makes you ask, what hidden histories are just waiting to be read in the landscapes all around you?